Well, Jim, speaking of which, let's get it out of the way before we have some more fun. AEW Dynamite this past week, they were in... Where were they? I should know this. They were in...
Clarksville, Tennessee.
Clarksville, Tennessee, putting Clarksville on the map. I guess next to the seafood. Is that what I know Clarksville for? But
no, that's Clarksville, Indiana. And it's a long way. It's a long way in between.
Well, Clarksville, actually, Tennessee.
You just mentioned it. They were in a community. They weren't really in a city. They were in a community. No, Clarksville. I actually had feedback on Twitter that they got mad at me. And when I said facetiously or smart aleckily, I don't know, several weeks ago, that Clarksville was suburban Nashville, quote unquote. I said that may be how they'd try to sell it. But no, Clarksville's 50 miles away from Nashville. And they've got this new building out there now. And, it looked like they had more people than normal because they're in a smaller building, but still they didn't fill up the smaller building. But they're in Clarksville. So that, if everybody in town came, they'd have a hard time. Tony Schiavone was on assignment, boating with Walter Cronkite, I suppose. So we had commentary from Sockface, Daddy Mac, and Ian Riccaboni.
Yeah, can I say something here at the start?
Please do.
Not having Schiavone there was the best thing possible, and he just acted like a fool on Twitter with this Chris Charlton thing, telling him, on behalf of AEW GFY. Okay.
What the fuck?
Okay. But he sucks so bad that it was just a great thing not to have him on air. Excalibur's awful. Excalibur sitting next to Ian Riccaboni has further exposed Excalibur, and the feedback we've heard from AEW fans who liked Excalibur, who are sick of him, I think that's a bigger audience than people realize. I'm not saying Ian's perfect, but Ian may be the better person right now to have on that show. Get Excalibur on a Ring of Honor or something.
Something. Well, yeah, because he's a legitimate, real, normal person who is a competent broadcaster who knows his shit and could appeal to a younger demographic because he's younger. And instead you got this fucking guy with these fantasies that he was a known wrestler by anybody except his immediate family, wearing his fucking clown outfit and doing the same commentary he used to do on VHS tapes in his fucking basement. That's where he's progressed to in life. And he's 40 fucking something years old, right?
I believe so.
He hadn't figured because his friends found an angel and got a money mark to, here, hire this guy. He does great commentary for PWG VHSs. The fuck? But at this point, he's not close to their biggest problem, but point registered. The opening match, I'm not going to really talk about what they did in these matches. I'm talking about what they fucking could have done or why did they do this thing. Will Ospreay versus Buddy Matthews. And we've said before, Buddy Matthews has the size, has the physique, his work physically, the performance of the moves and et cetera, his look, they're all great. Fucking, he's a caveman. He's in a rotten group. He's been booked horribly and has the worst heel name ever. Those are the drawbacks. But you have this match, and Buddy Matthews is in the House of Black with Malachi Black and Brody King. Would you ever see them together? Not that I'm complaining. But he's been presented as a heel pretty much the whole time, except when, for some reason, the House of Black were fighting the other heels, and who knows? Who can remember anything that happened in this company past 3 months ago anyway? Maybe. But here they've got this match. So this jacked up monster in this heel group could beat the shit out of Will Ospreay and have Will Ospreay sell like Ricky Morton, but have him fight from underneath and get the fans behind him and use his babyface athleticism and his tricky flippy, snazzy moves to foil the strength and power of the bigger guy and triumph possibly by outsmarting him. Or they could do what they did. They could have a match like they're physical equals, do the odd combination of square dancing and gymnastics that all these guys do. Buddy Matthews can pretend to be a luchador. Ospreay can land on his feet from multiple directions for no apparent purpose. You can have no discernible babyface or heel. You can get no heat for the fucking struggle itself, but you can get the fans to just register and pop on the moves. And you can do moves back and forth with no rhyme or reason just because you can do them and have nobody come out of the match better. Because since they both did the same shit equally as good, and Buddy looks twice as good physically, they ought to just put Buddy over and pay him the millions of dollars they're paying Ospreay. If it's just moves, right?
I think they were both baby faces, it seemed like here. And that's what this is. And I think that's what you're going to get with Will Ospreay. That'll be the thing that differentiates AEW's top guy or one of their top guys from WWE. It's not about stories, although the fans who love them will tell you, it really is the stories. They're really deep. And, he's afraid Fletcher's going to go to his kid's school. That's not a story. That's stupidity. But yeah, it's going to be when you see him against Buddy Matthews, it's not going to be the bigger, more muscular, clearly fit, visually just way more muscular guy than 99% of the people on Earth, let alone Will Ospreay. But with a Will Ospreay match, it's a move for move, spot for spot match.
And Matthews is out there doing the same foolishness and risking he's going to hurt himself. But they both kicked out of a half dozen finishes without seconds later showing ill effects. And then the finish was, Matthews is on his knees in the middle of the ring, and Ospreay backed up in the corner and took off his elbow pad and stood there preparing, or squatted there preparing, like he was shitting in the woods. And Matthews looks up at him and stares at him. The camera, the close-up, sees him staring at Ospreay for 10 full seconds before Ospreay takes off and runs and hits him with that shitty-looking little elbow deal, with Matthews not trying in any way to move. Just, oh, shit, this guy's going to run and hit me. Fuck, I wish I could do something about it, but I can't. Bam. 1, 2, 3. Same match every other one of these morons has. Buddy could be a player with a name and a gimmick and a presentation. I don't know why that Ospreay uses that elbow as a finish when it's the 27th most impressive thing he does. And then the condescending promo. He gets the microphone and tells the people, give it up for Buddy Murphy. And he's Buddy Matthews. He forgot his fucking name. And
that's, that's like one of those minor league things you hate to see happen, because the last thing you want people thinking about is Buddy Murphy.
That's worse than Buddy Matthews.
Buddy Matthews is bad enough. They don't even own that name. So yeah, that's a shitty slip up.
Well, but the point is he forgets his name, and he normally speaks like a kidnapped victim with a tube sock stuck in his mouth. I'm talking about Ospreay, but he's garbling and he's after the match. But his promo was to say how good that Buddy is and that he can win gold too if he works hard. Buddy looks like he should eat this little pissant. And Ospreay is condescending like he's speaking to a fucking monkey. And then Ospreay offers his hand and says, if you ever need someone in your corner, I'm your guy. And the heel that he just beat reaches out and shakes his hand. I'm like, what the fuck? Every other match, the heels get heat afterwards, but here they don't? So Matthews, and if they're trying to turn him babyface, why'd they bring him out and fucking beat him? And then have one of the other baby faces pat him on the head like, good kid, you'll be something someday. Matthews got beat flat, told he can be a champion if he works hard, and then shook the hand and thanked the guy who beat him and told him that. Should he just go away now?
Well, apparently Malachi Black is on the way out. At least that's the presumption. I'll be honest, if I'm WWE, I don't know if I would want him, but I guess they want him. I don't know why. I haven't seen anything that made me think this guy needs more TV time. And maybe him leaving is the key to Buddy and Brody getting new names? No, but getting some more TV time and getting used better because they don't have Malachi Black holding them down anymore.
How is it using somebody better to bring him out and beat him? And switch him apparently babyface without actually doing it, so nobody knows what the fuck to think?
They've kind of slowly, weirdly been turning Brody King and Buddy babyface for a little while. Buddy's been getting good reactions for a little while. And of course, he lost here in the opening match. But he looked good in there. They both look good in there. And the fans love Ospreay. The problem is you keep starting these shows out with Ospreay. It's hard for anyone else on the show to compete with what he's doing. He's kicking out of everything and doing everything. And then he starts the show.
They actually could have just put Buddy over. Maybe made something out of him there. Like I said, they could pay Buddy Ospreay's money because he's bigger and looks better and can do all the same fucking moves. So, and he can probably talk better. Unless he can get that tube sock out of his fucking gullet.
Rob.
Anyway, then we came to a Tokyo Dome package where there were random highlights and comments from the talent, and most of the time they could only shoot up to show the roof of the Tokyo Dome, because as we mentioned, there weren't a lot of fans in a building that size. And but here's the thing: the Buckaroos were wrestling there with no explanation of why they won't show up here. They're just holding the tag team belts from over there and say, well, we might bring these to AEW. That's all we need. And then there was highlights of Kenny wrestling, including diving off of something and saying, I'm back. And then he came out later on in the show to milk whether he was going to be able to come back or not. Did you catch that?
I did.
They just showed him diving off. It looked like fucking Johnny Weissmuller diving off a goddamn waterfall in a Tarzan movie. Then an hour later, he limps out like, oh, I don't know whether I can keep up with this or not. Anyway, then let's move on to the private party, shall we? You want to go to a private party, Brian?
Not this one, but we could talk about the private party. I guess it's not even their segment, their involvement in this next segment.
Well, it was such a private party, they had to pay the girls to come to it. Private party came out on stage, and there was the table set up with champagne and the ice buckets and 5 strippers from Nashville. Now, I give them the benefit of the doubt. They may be from Clarksville, because I haven't been to Clarksville in a while, but I don't think when I was there the last time that they actually allowed stripping in Clarksville. So I think they had to bring them up from Nashville.
Is that
One
true?
of them had half her head shaved.
Is that true? They didn't allow stripping in Clarksville?
Oh, are you kidding? There's tons of places in Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi where there's various laws against any nipplage being shown or any touching being done or any garments being removed or whatever. There's all kinds of... This is a Bible Belt here, pal.
Oh.
What the heck?
I just figured there was a Mons Venus everywhere.
No, there wasn't even the Mons Mercury, which was considerably hotter. So they have this whole stage set up, and the fans barely care at all that these people are speaking. They're trying to celebrate them winning the tag team title, and they've got the guy with the velvet rope to let people in and everything. And the people are just sitting there, and there's kind of conversations rumbling in the arena.
Should it be the same security guard, the same one we see every week walking Moxley and his friends out the ringside, the same one we see escorting any of the women anywhere, the same one we see anytime anyone's in the crowd? Should it be the same guy to be the guy with their velvet rope?
Yes, he's got kids to put through school. He needs to pick up these extra jobs wherever he can. You know how much this gig pays to stand there and let some fucking morons in through that fucking rope? And it's easy work if you can get it. Anyway, they do this and nobody cares. And then the music plays, and here comes MVP and Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. And then the people wake up and they start reacting because here's some stars that carry themselves and they look impressive. And again, it's just a difference in the overall presentation.
And the fans reacted. If you notice, when the music hit for them, it's a different kind of pop than everyone else is getting. Not to say it's a Road Warrior pop or anything, but
well, yeah, but it's not like the giggle, or it's not like that. It's like, oh shit, here we go. You know, more type of we're going to get serious. Somebody's going to get their ass kicked around here. And MVP goes in and builds them up like he's putting the guys over. Hey, what you've done and blah, blah, blah. We want to party too. We want to drill. Let's have a shot, whatever. And they're, again, private party, whether they realized it or not. He's like, well, the one guy was like, oh yeah, let me get you a glass. Like they immediately become subservient, but they're kids and people can tell. And they don't have it yet. And MVP does the deal. Let's all raise a glass and drink to Private Party, the tag team title, and to the Hurt Syndicate taken the tag team title. And then Lashley poured the drink in their ice bucket and they fucking walked off and Private Party stood there and took it.
I am a Hurt Syndicate fan, so I got a kick out of it. But on the other hand, should the babyface tag team be treated like that and then react like that?
Well, yes and no. If they were the top babyface team, which let's face it, they got no business being the world tag team champions of a national company right now at this stage of their game and the way they've been presented. And also, they get their fucking ass kicked if they will fuck with these guys. The problem I have it being for the tag team title, if it had been some middle card team and the fucking Hurt Syndicate comes out there and does that, yeah, that's getting the Hurt Syndicate over because they're going to draw you some money. But the fact that these guys are the tag team champions, it was like, oh, shit, this is the state of it. But no, they should have done that because Private Party's not going to fucking sell any goddamn... They're not going to sell pussy on a troop train, much less tickets to a wrestling event to see them fight Hurt Syndicate. Hurt Syndicate needs to win the fucking belts and move on.
You know, we haven't really talked about that. We've talked so much about Lashley as a single or Shelton as a single. Them as a tag team is pretty interesting because that's a tag team division that's dead. And instantly it has a new look and a new kind of feel. I don't really want to see FTR against anyone right now. FTR against the Hurt Syndicate. That's interesting. You know, like
that would be tremendous.
Yeah.
For professionals. Say what you want. And that's also, they're going to have a problem because who's believable against Lashley? The fucking land of Lilliput here. So as a team, you can do certain things. But anyway, Private Party, man, more on him in a minute.
That's what they should do. Who could stop Lashley? Who is there that could stop this man's dominance? You could build that forever.
Well, but no, they're too busy trying to sell that fucking white boy from Cincinnati as the toughest man on the earth. But they went to the ring, the Hurt Syndicate did, and Lashley had a match with Mark Briscoe. And here was another lesson to be learned about booking. And there's been several. The time that Mark could have been one of the top 2 or 3 baby faces in his company and done him some good is long over thanks to this shit booking. So he might as well put Bobby Lashley over and you know, at least that's something positive for the future of the company. But even Bobby mostly beat the shit out of Mark Briscoe at the start and through the match, as he should, to get over. But the people feel so bad for the way that Mark has been treated in the booking that they don't want to see him get the shit kicked out of him. And they just sit there. But they booked themselves into a corner because they can't at this point in Lashley's trajectory have a competitive match. So finally, Mark did a dive and the fans woke up and he did another dive and a froggy bow, a 1 count. And then Lashley speared him, choke slammed him, and hurt locked him. Ding, ding, ding. And again, it's a waste of Mark because of where Mark should be and could have been in the pecking order. But the way it is now, what the fuck? And then they go for more heat, and the private party comes in with both of them had chairs and just stood up and stood there with the chairs like, please don't make us use these. Please do not make us engage. And MVP and the guys, they just stand up, and MVP is, okay, no problem, kids. We'll go on and we'll leave. And they step out slowly, and private parties stand there with chairs in hand, dicks in hand. They didn't know. But again, even the two of them with chairs, Lashley and Shelton and MVP would destroy them. So, but that was that. What'd you think?
I thought it was all right. Again, I'm intrigued about the idea these guys will be in the tag team division, hopefully on top of the tag team division. It opens up a whole new set of possibilities for matches and everything else. Mark Briscoe, they've had missed opportunities, and also when there was a time after that, they put him in the conglomeration.
Yeah.
Which were 4 guys standing in the back doing goofy interviews while the commentator or the announcer, Renee, mostly, played along, laughed along, had a good time with these wacky wrestling characters. They've done no favors to Mark Briscoe. And that's that. But you have to wonder, like Lashley and Shelton, I think everyone kind of knows they're badasses. And unlike an MVP, they're clean shaven. I've never seen Bobby Lashley with a mustache.
Nope.
I've never seen Shelton Benjamin with a goatee.
Well, I do have one picture of Shelton with a sheep, but not a goat.
Well, again, that's not what I said. That's what Jim Cornette said. But what we are saying is, if you want people to think you're a badass, or if you just want to look good for your lady, or if you just hate facial hair, you need to shave your face, and we know someone who can help you do just that.
Well, actually, they will. For an extra charge, they will send somebody to your house. All you have to do is bend over your sink and just face the mirror, and they will actually do the shaving operation for you.
I don't know who they is, but no, they won't.
Well, it's a young woman named Gladys. And Gladys Areola, she advertises on the internet, and happy endings are optional. But if you just want the starter set, folks.
Listen, again, none of this has anything to do with what we're talking about. We're not talking about Gladys's areola. We're talking about Harry's.
Well, that's because you don't want your lips and cheeks to be hairy, or elsewise Gladys may not be able to give you her areola. But I'll tell you what, right now, folks, Harry's has an incredible deal for all of you men out there that need to shave your face on a regular basis, and even potentially some women. We know that there are some circus performers out there that listen to the program. Well, right now they've got an incredible $13 trial set available for just $3. Now, when you go in a supermarket or any type of modern day store and you try to buy these engineered multi-blade cartridges in any of the modern big league brands, you will find that you'll have to fill out a credit app. They're attached to the shelf with a ball and chain, and you've got to go through some type of demagnetizer just to get out of there without being shot on sight by the attendants.
No.
Well, I've gone through that. There might be bigger crime in my area. But it's a pain in the ass. Well, Harry's will send you the same type of stuff right through the mail, where all you have to do is fight anybody that happens to be in between you and your mailbox. And I'm talking about German-engineered blades made in their own factory that stay sharp longer, because we know those Germans, they are tough. And you've got a 5-blade razor that goes, or the cartridge goes right onto the end of the weighted handle with the ergonomically designed handle on there, so you can hold this thing with like 2 fingers, and while you're giving somebody else the finger, and it smoothly goes all over your face, eliminating. It's like the hair just dissolves away. And They've got customizable delivery options for scheduled refills as low as $2. We're talking half or less what you pay for the big brands. And they've got the skin softening body wash, Brian, in scents like redwood and wildlands and stone. If you want to smell like stone, folks, you can't take it for granted. And they have extra strength, high quality, amazing smelling deodorant for just $5. So you can not only smell like a New Orleans whorehouse, but a cheap New Orleans whorehouse. Because it's only going to cost you $5.
Why would you want to smell like a cheap one?
Well, because that way they'll know that you're not about to spend any more money than you have to, and that knocks the price down immediately.
Based on scent?
Well, that's so they can smell you coming. Plus hair and other grooming products that fit your unique look and needs. If you have a unique look, they have grooming products that will help you keep that look up if you want to keep it for whatever reason you want to keep that look. So if you look like Pampiro Furpo, no worries. They'll help you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And right now, as I mentioned, you can get this trial set. That's the razor, the handle, well, the razor blades, I should say. It's all part of a big razor, folks. But the razor blades cartridge, the handle, the gel, and a travel cover for just $3. It's normally $13, but we're going to get you a deal. Harrys.com/JCE. Harrys.com/JCE. See what I did there? The razor slash.
You didn't do that. What are you talking about?
Well, as far as you know, I did.
What did you do? You read the copy. You didn't come up with a slash. No, you did not.
A lot of people didn't know what to call it before. They called it crooked line. And I came up with, well, I just slashed it.
What do you slash? One more time?
I slashed the prices of the Harry's trial set down from $13 to $3 if you go to harrys.com/JCE.
All right, well, let's go back to about 4 days of growth. AEW Dynamite.
Oh, boy. So then we had the long-awaited Casino Gauntlet match. They had another Casino Gauntlet for a shot at the World Heavyweight title held by Dick the Boozer, the world's most dangerous plumber, that will happen next week in the Boozer's hometown of Cincinnati, where, from what we are told and what we are seeing here now on this go-round, nobody gives a shit in Cincinnati that Jon Moxley lives there or is from there. He never draws in Cincinnati. Is he the only majorly pushed wrestler in the world that doesn't draw in the place he lives?
He's the worst kind of heel, an unknown heel in his hometown. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've done better crowds in Cincinnati. It feels like they've gone to Cincinnati a lot.
Well, remember they were supposed to be in Louisville, but they ixnayed that and they moved to Cincinnati on about 2 weeks' notice.
Jon Moxley's segments have killed the ratings. Jon Moxley's segments have caused AEW fans to just pray for it to end. The amount of people I've seen praying for Kenny Omega to just win the title and the Moxley stuff to go away. And by the way, I'm on that team now. Just give Omega the AEW title. Let's go back to what it was a few years ago. This Moxley stuff is terrible. He's a heel that you wouldn't want to support. Why would anyone in his hometown want to support him?
It's like when Nick Dinsmore was in Ohio Valley Wrestling, every time we would have a spot show at his old high school, it would draw 500, 600, 700 people, right? Coming because, Nick had, become something of a draw in the local scene in the wrestling business. And then after he becomes the Eugene and he's on national TV, we ran the same show there, it did 200 people. It's like, what fucking school would want to claim that they fucking produced this guy?
Here's our former valedictorian right here coming out.
Yeah, here he comes. He's waving at the crowd. So that killed that. Anyway, I'm not even good at this. Thing went half an hour plus. Jay White and Hangnail Page started out, and then came Wheeler Useless, and then came Ricochet. And when Ricochet came out, they played Swerve's music at first and then switched it over, so the fans were extra pissed. But apparently the fans are enjoying booing Ricochet, maybe not in the classic money drawing sense, but just telling him what a fucking putz he is.
Yeah, it's interesting. The other thing I thought while watching this is like, this whole casino match, it's like one skinny guy after another.
Well, speaking of which, number 5 was Adam Cole. And I like Adam. I enjoyed working with him in Ring of Honor. I thought he was a very talented young man. And the promos, and they had a thing going in NXT. I don't know what's the matter, what's happening. And again, if it's an illness or some physical issue, I apologize. But what is going on here? Not even. Certainly, he must just not give a shit about any input in his booking, because it's been spectacularly bad. But what the fuck are they trying to accomplish here now? If he doesn't need to be in the ring, should he concentrate on trying to get better? If there's something to get better from, I don't know what's going on. And speaking of not knowing what was going on, number 6 was Danny Garcia. Out to complete silence. I don't think they knew who he was. And then
again, another really skinny guy. It was a noticeable difference from this to NXT or WWE. Anything you see, everyone was a slight guy.
Slight. Loved it. They were very emaciated.
Not emaciated, but just slight. Like, no one is imposing in any sense of the word.
Well, here we go then. Because number 7, very integral part of this, Powerhouse Hobbs.
Now
our friend Willie Hobbs.
Now he's imposing.
And he got in and threw everybody around. And it woke the people up when he would do that. This went across the 9 o'clock hour, but it was 20 minutes and it was still going on. But when Hobbs was beating everybody up, I thought, they could get him over if he wins this, but then he'd have to wrestle Moxley. And I thought, oh, fuck, I don't want to wish that on him. But then, more on this in a moment, Roderick Strong. And then Lance Archer came in. And again, a few years ago, without the Jake Roberts thing and the beating up the production assistants and the here today, gone tomorrow and all these other things, you might could have got something out of Lance, but right now he detracted from Hobbs being the biggest guy in the match, and Hobbs versus Archer did neither guy any good because they both have to be big and invincible, and nobody's going to tell Archer, apparently, fucking fly for Hobbs because he's our horse in this race. So then Kyle O'Reilly. And then finally, and remember he had said he was going to be in this, Jeff Jarrett. The music plays, and here comes Jeff, and the people really woke up for pretty much the first time 25 minutes in.
Hey, listen, despite that email you got, it may be 50 miles outside of Nashville, but that was a Jeff Jarrett crowd.
Well, yes, because it's still the Nashville TV market, and most of those people probably came, to be honest, from Nashville. And because Clarksville ain't that big a town. And besides that, he's been on television here for almost 40 years next year. And because he's in Nashville and he's business-minded, I'm sure he was doing some local publicity. So, and they wanted to see him in the goddamn casino gauntlet. They probably wanted to see him win it, but maybe if somebody eliminated him last, they might get some heat for doing it. Or any of them. But as he's on the way to the ring, Wheeler Useless, of all people, jumped him from behind in the aisleway, and they fought to the back. And Jeff Jarrett never got in this goddamn match, never even made it to the ring. And you could tell the fans were fucking hot, and they still had to watch more of this bullshit match. So that's now squashed any response they're going to get for anything. And 2 minutes later, Hobbs spinebustered Kyle O'Reilly. You're going to win a big fucking match. You're going to win it over Kyle O'Reilly that hasn't beaten anybody since he beat his fucking sister playing fucking checkers when he was in 6th grade. He spinebustered O'Reilly 1, 2, 3, and it. So they did put him over, but after they pissed the fans off that they didn't get to see Jeff and it was a flat finish, and now he's got to wrestle Dick the Boozer. And that's going to suck because Moxley can have a good match and he won't put this guy over, so his push is going to last all of 1 fucking week. What has Hobbs done to these people? And then...
Did you see the promo afterwards?
Yes, Renee Moxley Good gets in the ring and asks Hobbs about the match next week against, she doesn't say this, but against her husband. She just refers to him like against John Moxley. And Hobbs can talk, which makes it even more shocking they can't figure out how to do anything with him. And he said he plans on shocking the world and making Moxley his bitch. Right to his wife. So Hobbs wants Renee's job. And then Hobbs left the ring. And we're 30 minutes into this fiasco at that point. And as he's on the way back, Jeff Jarrett comes back out and shakes Hobbs' hand. And then starts walking to the ring. And the announcers don't even mention Jeff's presence in the building. Even though he's on the monitor on the camera shot, they go to a package on the history between Christian and Hook. As Jeff is meandering back to the ring with a hangdog expression. Your thoughts before we come back from the break?
My thoughts on which part of it exactly?
On what the fuck's going on here?
That casino match went forever. I like the idea of Hobbs getting a push. I like the idea of Hobbs getting interview time. Unless they're going to do Rocky 3. And it's going to be like a 90-second thing where he destroys Moxley. It doesn't help him to have a competitive match with Moxley right now. This is a guy that still needs recovery from, at this point, years of missed opportunities and bad booking.
Oh, you mean Hobbs needs recovery from this?
Hobbs.
I thought you meant Moxley needed recovery from things he's recovered from before.
I don't think anything's going to change there.
So we come back to the ring, and now Ian Riccaboni is in the ring with Jeff Jarrett. And Ian says, well, you know, how you feeling, Jeff, after you didn't get in the goddamn deal? And the crowd cheers him. And Jeff's whole promo, he starts out, you know, I was wondering, do I still have what it takes? And he got some cheers. And then suddenly, MJ, before he's really said anything, MJF's music plays, and he comes the ring, and they have a face-off, and there Ian just slinked off to the corner. Already, before anybody had even spoken to him. What the... Why do the announcers, why are they treated like whipped puppies and have no credibility? They're the goddamn hosts of the program. Does this happen in the NBA? But anyway, and then MJF said, hey, Ian Riccaboni, you Bible-thumping prick, get out of my ring. I didn't know that Ian was a thumper of the Bible, but regardless, the announcer, that's why they're just jokes to people. And the only one that they don't talk to like a flunky is the one that really is a fucking flunky. Sockface. So anyway, this was long, and I'm not sure where they're going, except that I want to see the match instantly because MJF probably the best match he can have in the company against somebody that won't hurt him is probably Jeff Jarrett. But MJF wants the belt, his belt back that he never really lost, but the title picture is complicated. And one man might be worthy of wearing that belt, Jeff Jarrett. And then, of course, MJF said, my dad was a fan of yours when he was a kid. But MJF reveals that the contract Jeff signed, the last contract, was for only 1 year because that was all they would give him. And so he's got a year to prove that he still got it. And MJF's, I can help you Without my help, you couldn't win a match, but when I help you win the belt, I'm first in line for a title shot. That's the deal. And I mean, yeah, they're setting it up, okay, but you already know where this is going. I don't think it's like Jeff is going to give this any consideration. And Jeff takes the microphone and then he cuts the promo. You learn a lot more from your failures than you do from your successes. But Max, you're a one-hit wonder. And he got the people actually chanting one-hit wonder. This was the only thing. Jeff was the only thing I think people were consistently interested in all night in this building. And Jeff said, I've been at rock bottom, but I can fight my way back. And you could have entered the gauntlet. But you ain't gonna, I'm gonna make the most of 2025. I don't need you and I ain't buying it, you entitled prick. And he left. So I don't know why they promised Jeff was going to do something in a building that was wanting to see him do it and then not have him do anything in it. And like I said, I'd like to see MJF against Jeff just because it'll be a good wrestling match. But I don't know that's the answer to their box office woes at this point. What's going on here, Brian?
And on that topic, real quick, I'll say it here. According to WrestleTix, 2,482 tickets distributed for their debut here in Clarksville. You know, I said it last week when you were more critical than I thought you would be, actually, about the Jeff Jarrett promo. I said, I'm willing to give it time and see where it goes. I don't want to see him against Moxley. But the idea of Jeff Jarrett chasing for the title could be something. MJF is kind of going down that same road. He's chasing for that title. And the idea of MJF and Jeff Jarrett doing something together could be good. Now, if last week was Jeff Jarrett saying goodbye to Jay Lethal and Sanjay and the Giant and Karen for a while, and we can get just Jeff Jarrett chasing, Jeff Jarrett having an obstacle and someone who's chasing after the same thing fighting him, it could be good.
Yes.
If it's 2 weeks and then they both just move on to something else, that ain't good. And by the way, if they're going to have a long-term chase, these two guys and whoever else in the company for the world title, fingers crossed it's Kenny Omega, not Jon Moxley, holding that belt. Omega versus MJF? I'm intrigued by that. Omega versus Jeff Jarrett will be worlds better than Jeff Jarrett versus Moxley. Again, it's a slow build, it seems. 2 weeks, no one's gotten punched in the face. But they're going somewhere with this. Well, week 3 is usually where some kind of diabolical thing has to happen, so we'll see.
What was the goddamn phrase again? Now I've lost it again. Beyond horrid.
Well, and they're doing this at the same time the John Cena thing's happening on Raw or on WWE overall. In AEW, how many things are there that guarantee you a title match? If you win the casino match, is that what Darby had? He won the casino match?
No. He won a casino chip. Didn't he?
Did he win it in the casino gauntlet match? Or in the casino?
How many do they have every year of those?
I don't know.
You can get a title match anytime. Anytime. And everybody's got a title, so it doesn't matter.
So
speaking of Darby, I'm sorry,
you're not looking forward to MJF Jeff Jarrett, really? What do you?
Well, no,
you seem kind of down on the whole thing.
I don't know what they're doing here. Get Jeff in the gauntlet. If you don't want him to win it, let fucking Hobbs go over some kind of way. But if you want to get some kind of interest going in MJF and Jeff, with MJF just making a ridiculous proposal that Jeff is going to turn down for the pop in the building is not earth-shattering, and we don't know what the fuck's happening here.
But you see, to me, I look at this and I say, here's a couple promising things for the future. MJF, Jeff Jarrett doing something, if it's done smart, if it's done well.
I want to see the match, yes. I just don't think it's going to help them that much.
Well, maybe a series of angles. I'm just saying in terms of my personal enjoyment, if they do a series of angles that are actually good and make sense, could be good. If Lashley and Shelton with MVP are on top of the tag team division, same thing. there's something I'm looking forward to that's good. So it's a couple positive potential steps in the right direction for AEW.
I'm just gun shy. I don't trust any of this stuff because it always goes to hell. But you mentioned Darby Allin earlier. He's gone now again. Is he climbing a mountain or what's he doing? He got kicked down the stairs. Apparently what was that? On Friday or Saturday night. Well, they don't do Friday night anymore. It must have been Saturday night. The Boozer and company kicked Darby down a flight of stairs in a stairwell in one of the arenas. And Darby was so happy when he heard that he was going to get to take that bump that he had him cover it with 3 different camera angles, including a camera underneath the stairs so you could look up through the stairs. They were shooting an interview, but just happened to have a cameraman under the fucking stairs. And you know that he went in there and go, Tony, I can take a bump down the stairs. They can kick me down the stairs and I'll go all the way down.
Come on, you remember the work I did at Gum Alley, right? Give me another shot.
And now, so he's off. They say, well, we haven't seen Darby Allin since then. Well, it ain't even been a week, but still.
And we haven't seen Shivani either, coincidentally enough.
Well.
And 2 tickets were charged to the Cayman Islands. What is going on here?
I didn't know that Tony would ever go ahead and just say, heck with it. I'm going to go to the Cayman Islands with a skateboarder. Fuck Lois and the kids.
His nephew. He calls him his nephew.
Oh, is that what they call it these days?
When he checks in at the hotel. This is my nephew.
Oh, I see.
There's a very, very famous record executive who's still alive, so I can't just come right out and say it, who secretly for years, and then eventually announced that he was indeed a homosexual. He had a gay life on the side where he would get like male strippers or playgirl models or whatever it was and fly to the islands with them. They were his nephew. He had like a fucking dozen nephews in like a few months. So,
Came from a big family. But we don't mean to insinuate that any of that it's all comedy referring to Tony Schiavone because he doesn't have a secret gay life. He doesn't even have a very happy life.
The idea they're doing these things on Collision, the kidnapping of the Rock and Roll Express, now Darby's thrown down the stairs. They tried to murder Edge. I mean, this Moxley stuff is so bad on every show and no one's reacting to it except the idea that people hate it. When is Tony Khan going to have the balls to put his foot down? When is Tony Khan going to realize this is bad?
Ask Mad Dog Russo.
He is by far horrendous.
By far horrendous. That's it. I'm going to write that down. Oh, wait a minute. Can you hear that?
What's that?
We got sirens in the background. I don't know. I heard the fire engine or something going. It's snowing out there. There might be some emergency vehicle trying to get by. Speaking of emergencies, can we declare one on poor old Edge? Good Lord. Now he's involved with this whole thing with the Boozer and company, but also, did you see the shirt he was wearing, Brian?
Yeah, and my opinion is if you can't be Edge, you can't be Edge. Don't try to be cute and get around it, especially when you're trying to rebrand yourself as something else.
But a lot of people are going to think, well, that fucking moron just doesn't know how to spell legend. Because there's no D in legend. And they're going to think, well, there's somebody that just, he's illiterate. But anyway, he put over...
Because that's what wrestling fans want to go out there and be known as.
Illiterate.
That illiterate wrestling fan. Oh, come on, leave those people alone. No, literally, look at his shirt. He's illiterate.
But he put over how tough he was. He broke his leg. He came back. He broke his neck. He came back. I'm thinking, as he's going through this list, I'm thinking, well, fuck, I'll fight this guy. I touch anything, it's going to fucking snap. But he said, what can you do to me, Moxley, that hasn't been done? You hurt Bryan Danielson. You hurt Darby Allin. But now what you can't come back from with me, you went after my buddy's FTR. So you ain't going to do anything to me. And then the Boozer's music plays, and here comes Dick and Claudio and Useless, and FTR jump them, and they have a 6-way fight. And Schaefer distracted Edge, and Pac showed back up and hit Edge with the briefcase, and the heels beat up the faces. And then Moxley put a choke on Edge and choked him out in the middle of the ring again. Edge only has 2 friends in his whole fucking company. Nobody else will come out and fight these fearsome people. We'll just let him kill Edge. And they go to put the plastic bag over his head, and boom, they play Hobbs music. And Hobbs walks out, and all 5 of the heels just stepped out with no contact, and that was it. So, in Moxley's demented mind, he's thinking that they're showing deference and respect to Hobbs when the 4 of them, plus the woman that has a weapon in her hand, get out of the ring. But in their universe of logic they've already created, these guys beat up everybody. And every time somebody runs in, they just beat them up some more. But suddenly this one guy, they're not even going to try. They want to build the anticipation. There is no anticipation. They gave Hobbs 1 fucking win out of nowhere, and nobody gives a shit whether Moxley sets himself on fire or not. And
Edge once again gets his ass kicked. How many times have we seen him just down and out? Comes out there, he looks so old. He looks so much older than he is. And then he does these promos, and then he gets his ass kicked. Moxley and his crew never sell, and they never stay down. And they're so desperate to get any heat on Wheeler Yuta that they always have him as like the first guy to get his ass kicked or jump in. But this stuff is not connecting. This stuff is not good. If you wanted to have FTR and Edge make the save, or FTR make the save and they do something, you should have done that. And then all the baby faces just look like weaklings again. They repeat the same thing over and over again with Moxley.
Well, but at the same time, what the fuck? Maybe Hobbs will get mad and break him in half for real next week. And then we can rejoice. But poor Edge, maybe that's why he changed his name. He was like, fuck it, can I just go by an assumed name if I'm going to be doing this shit? All righty then. Maria May and Harley Cameron. What's the fuck's the matter with them?
Was there something on the show? Because I did not see it.
Maria May was doing a promo in the back about the upcoming women's casino gauntlet match, when Harley Cameron came in screeching and overacting, where it was like she was worse than Toni Storm was a few months ago before she went away and came back with amnesia. And she's screeching and talking in an accent and overacting, and then they're both... Can we order either one of these two? Some fucking talent.
Let me stop you right there. Harley Cameron. I would hire her in a second.
To do what?
To do anything other than wrestling. To do anything other than wrestling. I just saw a video of her. You're not going to believe this. She appeared to be one of the best ventriloquists I've ever seen in my entire life.
What?
I saw a video, I guess maybe from her cameo someone sent me. They said, you got to see this. It was her and a dummy, a puppet, and she was better than Willie Tyler and Lester. She was really, really good. And then I saw something on TV the other day where she sang a song. I'm like, man, she's really good. Wrestling may not be her thing, but she is a talent. I would hire her. A girl that looks like that who could do ventriloquism? When the fuck has that ever happened?
Well, when are you going to open up a ventriloquism company?
I think it's a missed opportunity. I think there's a route.
There's a market for ventriloquism companies?
I see a path. Not for ventriloquist companies, but to promote and manage and really push a ventriloquist if it was the right one nowadays.
Can she refrain from acting or trying to act or attempting to act on the wrestling shows?
That's my whole thing. It would get her away from wrestling.
Well, you said wrestling. I thought you meant the physical act rather than the goddamn verbal.
I don't know. No, but my point is she's a talented person and she's trying to display all of her talents that she can on wrestling in the 90 seconds they give her. and it comes across as too much. She appears to be really talented. It's just, it's not in professional wrestling. It doesn't appear so.
I remain unconvinced. We shall see. If she can throw her voice, if she can make noises without opening her mouth.
Hey, listen, I'll take watching Harley Cameron before I have to watch more of Dick the Boozer and the Boar Horseman any day of the week.
Oh!
That's how you do it.
Wait a minute.
That's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen.
Boom, they just all went down the stairs. All righty then. I've got to write that one down. Horseman. Okay, well, up next to bore us a three-way where the winner is the number one entrant in the casino gauntlet to determine a challenger for the women's title.
Say that again, Will.
This was a three-way with the winner being number one to enter the casino gauntlet for the winner to get a shot at the women's title.
Oh, that's right. We determined last year that being number one is a good thing because that means you could just pin number two and the match is over and all the surprise people would never come out.
There you go. And we've already established that they will end the fucking match or not put a featured person in the match and piss the fans off. So,
knowing your distaste for three-way matches and women's matches, did you watch this? And specifically, did you see the spot that everyone was talking about?
No, I didn't, and I didn't know there was one.
Okay.
What was it?
Like a slingshot. You know the slingshot where you take the opponent's legs and you fall back and they sling up?
The boomerang.
The boomerang. Right into Chris Statlander's pussy. Who's standing above the...
What, did the girl's head stick in it? They had to call AAA with a winch to get it out?
She was standing there. Pussy? The boomerang or the slingshot was done straight up right into the girl.
But did the other girl's head lodge there?
I will find you this spot and send it to you. I can't believe you didn't see this. This is the only thing anyone was sending me for like a day.
I didn't see it. But it took 15 minutes on the air for this whole thing, and Statlander beat Toni Storm. So now that Toni Storm has amnesia, she's a job girl again, starting from scratch, potentially having crotch rash or whatever's going on with these people.
And the other option, it's either amnesia or timeless Toni Storm is tricking everyone. Her latest role is the role of Toni Storm from a few years ago. Neither idea is very good.
Okay. But she did say, she being Toni Storm, said that, she did her best, but she's not ready. It's a great honor to be out there, and she's going to keep working hard. What the... So, amnesia is a hell of a drug.
All right, I have a video of the full match I'm going to be sending you in a second. I'm trying to find exactly where the spot I was telling you about took place. There's a lot of action that I'm scrolling right past. Everyone's down. Everyone's up. Everyone's down.
Everybody
again.
Up, everybody down. Everybody gets high, everybody gets low.
All right, well, I will find this and send it to you for your opinion, but let's continue on with this.
All right, well, because we got a big fucking closing fucking deal here. Because Twinkle Toes McFingerbang is back, baby. Kenny Olivier, the world's greatest wrestling artist, our old friend, he is back, and he came out in, I guess for AEW, it was a snazzy set of street clothes.
Hey, that was the healthiest he's looked. Now that we've seen him after a long hiatus, you realize how long he did not look very healthy. If you look at his eyes here, it was very different than before he left.
It didn't look like two piss holes in a snowbank here. He kind of looked like he knew where he was and what was going on. He wasn't so frazzled, so stressed. He probably needs the CBD because he was so stressed.
Well, CB Distillery, to be specific.
Well, yes. That's the only place to get it, if you know what you're doing. He got some Kenny chance. He got some welcome back chance. He's got a giant gig on his forehead from New Japan. It looks like he got juice with a weed eater. And he's telling the story about a year ago. I got news. I had diverticulitis. And, the doctors said, wrestle again. If you hadn't come in when you did, you may not have been living. And he's asking the questions, about what his future is going to hold. He still can't talk. I think it's bland. I think it's wishy-washy. I think he's got the phone sex voice, and he sounds as exciting as a librarian. But basically, he was milking the people on how bad his health had been and what was next. And not only did he just wrestle in a Tokyo Dome, but they showed footage of him diving off the thing in the highlights from the Tokyo Dome. So where was the mystery here? There wasn't one. The people knew the resolution was going to be when he said, what purpose do I have on this planet? It's not about the money. It's not about the glory. What purpose do I have on this planet if I don't have you people cheering me every night? None. And he got fired up about how important it was for him to prove to the fans that he's still the best. And right as the overrun is starting, that's when Don Fallis's music plays. And I'm like, oh, God. And Don came out starting to speak in the entrance. He's on the microphone before he gets a few words out. Kenny dives out of the ring and just runs down there and jumps him, starts wailing on him. And here comes Lance Archer and Brian Cage, and they pull Kenny off and throw him in the ring. And here comes Kyle Felcher. And they beat up Kenny, and Cage, I guess they're going to try again with this fucking guy. He gives him the gut shot. Boom, oh my God, the diverticulitis. And then here comes Will Ospreay's music, and he runs out with a chair and runs the heels off. Okay, so is there going to be some kind of, superpower alignment here? The original big flashy baby face and the new big flashy baby face. But then Ospreay, when he runs the heels off, then him and Kenny have a face-off and a stare down. And the announcer's like, oh, shit, and they do nothing. But why would they be mad at each other? Because Kenny's been gone since before Ospreay got here. The Japan again. Oh, they were mad in Japan. Who gives a shit? Nobody knows that. So instead of shooting an angle to tease a match with Kenny and one of these heels managed by Don, they put the fucking the attention on the match between Kenny and the guy that just saved Kenny from getting his ass kicked by other people. What? Normal people watching this are going to go, what the fuck is going on here? And that was the show.
I liked Omega charging Don Callis right away. That was something I didn't expect, and I thought that was a nice little touch. He really hates this guy who tried to stab him with a screwdriver.
You should have seen the other time he tried to stab him with that old-fashioned.
But if you look at the state of AEW right now, I don't care what you have planned. If you have Kenny Omega, why wouldn't you have him come back and do a promo saying, I'm here to save the company, I'm going to end this Moxley shit, and immediately go to that and end it? Because I don't think it's going to help Kenny Omega if that's the end goal, if he's going to be bogged down with the Callis family again now. No one said I want Kenny Omega to return to team with Ospreay against the Callis family. And you shouldn't do Ospreay Omega if you have bigger plans, and you got to get the belt off Moxley immediately. So that's my thoughts.
Do you think, is it just everybody telling Tony, not everybody, but a lot of people telling Tony, we just don't want to be involved with Moxley. We'll do something over here. Because he listens to those type of things.
I think with John Moxley, it comes down to John Moxley wanting to do something with someone else, and everyone else at the company, it's presumed, would be involved with something with Moxley, unless he didn't want to work with them.
The Boar Horsemen.
It's the worst stable. Their fans don't care about him. Someone said, oh, you didn't hear them booing Wheeler Yuta? Give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
You're never going to convince me at this present time that Wheeler Yuta is over as a heel. They resent the push he's getting because he looks like a fucking child. He has no muscle mass. He has no size to him, and he's getting shoved down everyone's throat. It's not the same. It's not Dominic Mysterio heat.
when you're at the Macy's parade and from a side street comes a dump truck full of manure and blows over the fucking Smurf float and covers everybody in shit, they boo that truck too. That doesn't mean they want to see it again.
What are your thoughts, though? If you have Kenny Omega right now, the state of AEW, what would you do coming out of the gate? Do you build to something with him, or do you try to go right to it?
Well, no. They've established that he's a vice president. They just said that. He's still one of the EVPs.
That's right. That's right.
So just half the company, including all of the wrestlers that have been acknowledged to be executive vice presidents in the company, are either not present or completely ignoring this fucking crazy lunatic that's trying to take over the company. So how did... And Tony Khan has yet to make any comment, right, about on the program about Moxley or the Death Rider's intentions, even though when his own EVPs gave him the fucking flippy Meltzer pile driver on television, and it is so bad that he had to wear the neck brace to the NFL draft. He was all over commenting about that, but this is a guy who doesn't even have an EVP position and a band of followers he's got trying to take over the whole company and beat up all the baby faces. Tony has nothing to say about it. The guys who work for him either don't come to work or shows up like Kenny and doesn't even acknowledge anything's going wrong with the company. None of this makes any sense. So what would I do with to draw any money with Kenny? He's probably, does he have anything left with that other, for the kind of audience who likes this kind of thing? That's the kind of thing they like. Does he have anything left with Okada? Can Okada fall down 4 more times before he breaks in half?
And they teased that. Remember at World's End when Kenny Omega came out to present the Continental Classic award or belt or whatever it was, they teased everything with him and Okada again.
Okay, then have that match and put Kenny over, because he's at least something that fan base likes that can actually produce something somewhat. But then I think you ought to pass the torch from Kenny to Ospreay. I mean, whether the fuck Moxley and the whole goddamn thing, their belt's worthless. Nobody cares to see those fucking people anyway. But again, for their audience, the only one they got left, let Ospreay beat Kenny to be the new high-flying, flippy-doo Tokyo Dome sensation guy that they like. Because the one guy's had illness and injury and is almost on the downside of his career. And Ospreay may have a few more years before he fucks himself up. So if they're going to do that, get Ospreay over. But none of the booking makes any sense from where anybody is to say, well, I'd do this with that guy. Because then you'd have to rebook another 6 guys to get them to where they made any sense with them.
Well, that was AEW Dynamite, and one last thing from Dynamite. To complete the segment we were talking about earlier, I sent you an email, Jim, with the move I explained, I believe, as a direct shot right to the pussy.
Yeah?
Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if it's something you've seen before. What do you think?
Well, hold on here. I'm clicking on it now.
It is a link of an isolated clip of just this moment.
So, yes, Statlander is posing in the middle of the ring doing the double bicep when Tony Storm is laying underneath her as if in a position where if she sat up, she might be able to go to lunch. And Willow gives her the old Fabulous Kangaroo's boomerang so her face crashes into Chris Statlander's vaginal area. Yeah. Yeah, and Sockface is fucking just hilariously uproarious about it. It was inventive.
Yeah, obviously the commentators always being goofy idiots isn't a big help, but that was AEW Dynamite.
The thing is, he's playing the part, and it was typecasting of some fucking teenage guy in his basement that never gets laid. Oh, look, they're hitting each other in the pussy.
Jim, what do you think of the chances that Tony Khan will pay attention to some of the positive reaction to Ian Riccaboni this week? Some of the positive reaction to Tony Schiavone, his favorite stooge, not being there? To many of the comments coming from longtime AEW supporters criticizing Excalibur, what are the chances Tony Khan will realize this is the time for a change?
The odds.
The odds. What are the odds? What are the odds?
The odds.
What are the chances I'll say the right thing?
Well, it's all about the chances of the odds. And obviously, in this case, you didn't. But folks, if you want to say the right thing and do the right thing, you can go and speak to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, and then they can help you do the right thing, and that is wager on the big professional sports going on. They're an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And from what we've heard, if you bet that the Jacksonville Jaguars ain't going to make a touchdown or ain't going to win a game, well, that's as much as a safe bet as you can possibly find. But, if you just want to bet on touchdowns, we've talked about this. They score them in football games sometimes. And if you want to bet on somebody or some team scoring a touchdown, boom, you can do it at DraftKings Sportsbook. Or if a player's going to score a certain amount of points, or this team's going to win or that team's going to lose, the basic stuff, they can fix you up at DraftKings Sportsbook. And right now, they're doing playoffs, Brian. It's time of the year for playoffs again. You know what that leads to?
In football, yes.
Well, yes. And the playoffs inevitably lead to championship games. You can bet on those too. It's almost like that they do this to keep you going all year with the football and then the basketball and then the baseball and then the hockey. There's something going on all the time. It's like they're colluding together, Brian. Do you feel colluded?
Not really. I feel like, no collusion.
Well, if you're not deluded about your being colluded, then you go to DraftKings Sportsbook, download the app right now, make your pick, and because you know us, new DraftKings customers can bet $5, and they're going to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So you can bet that every single player on the Jacksonville Jaguars is a complete loser. And you can bet that the owner and the coach and everybody else are complete imbeciles. Right there in the imbecile box on the app. They made it easy because of the Jaguars. DraftKings Sportsbook, download it. Bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make all kinds of capital on the professional sports. It's going to be the new path forward to prosperity is winning money on betting on football, Brian.
Well, we shall see with DraftKings, and I understand you have a special statement for all the people to hear.
Oh, good Lord. Yes, I do. Of course, if you son of a bitch, the small portion of you out there that just cannot control your gambling habit, make me have to read this one more time. Why, yada. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code JCE. That's code JCE for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. But gambling problem? Now we're going to get serious. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Additional terms and responsible gaming resources for them. See dkng.co/audio.
That's right. The crown is yours with DraftKings.
Well, I need the oxygen tank right now.
Jim, before we wrap things up, let's do Dynamite ratings.
You got them in.
We got them in. And again, last week, I don't have it in front of me, I believe. Actually, I do. It was 588 last week. which was not an outrageous number. It was in line with the trend.
What they've been doing, we didn't see any attrition over to not Netflix, but to
Maxflix.
Maxflix. It was about the same number, give or take, as they've been doing on the cable.
AEW Dynamite, Jim, on TBS, Wednesday, January 8th, 8 to 10:05 p.m. On average, 615,000 viewers.
Well, they got back over 600,000 for the first time in quite some time. What are there about 30 or 35,000 Twinkle Toes fans that wanted to see him return, or what do they attribute this to?
Well, let's see what kind of story the quarters tell. These were not compiled by WrestleNomics. I got these from an independent source. Jim, quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. Will Ospreay versus Buddy Matthews, 732,000 viewers.
Okay, and that, as I recall, that's up, isn't it, from their starting point? Because they started lower last week.
I believe they did. Quarter 2, 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. The continuation of Ospreay versus Matthews, the post-match, the Private Party Hurt Syndicate confrontation, and the start of Bobby Lashley versus Mark Briscoe. There's a picture-in-picture in there somewhere. 623,000 viewers.
Ouch. Okay, and immediately there goes 109,000. So we're following the normal pattern.
And again, with the normal idea that quarter 2 is the truer number than quarter 1 with a lead-in, that's kind of the baseline, which is up a little bit from where they've been, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. Continuation of Lashley versus Briscoe. The beginning of the Casino Gauntlet match. Picture-in-picture and commercial breaks here in this segment. 555,000 viewers.
Boy, that Casino Gauntlet will kill anything. And now they've lost 177,000 or thereabouts, but now they've got to pick up something or they won't be able to make their average. So who's going to make the difference here?
We go to quarter 4. Once again, the continuation of Casino Gauntlet. 2 times of picture-in-picture. 573,000 viewers.
So 20,000 or so variation, and that thing took forever.
All right, quarter 5, the big 9 o'clock hour, 9 to 9:15 p.m. The continuation of the Casino Gauntlet, the post-match, where Powerhouse Hobbs told Renee what he thinks of her husband, and she walked off. The Hook Patriarchy video, and the beginning of the Jeff Jarrett MJF confrontation. 658,000 viewers.
Wow. So they picked up 85,000 at the top of the hour in a place where they usually stay flat or even lose.
That's right. We go now to quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. Continuation of Jeff Jarrett and MJF live angle. The Adam Copeland, I guess I got to call him Cope. The Cope Death Riders FTR Powerhouse Hobbs live angle. It's a dead angle. 614,000 viewers. With a commercial break in there too. Excuse me.
And they're starting to drop again. So MJF and Jeff Jarrett were on for the majority of the second highest quarter after the lead-in of this whole fiasco.
We go now to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. The backstage segment you love so much with Harley Cameron and Mariah May. And Chris Statlander versus Tony Storm versus Willow Nightingale, picture-in-picture and full-screen commercials. 594,000 viewers.
And they're going down again, but to be honest, nowhere near the drop off a cliff that they usually have at the end of one of these programs, because 594 is still only the third lowest quarter in the show so far.
And we'll briefly talk about the key demo numbers after this because it tells a story as well. Quarter 8, I remind you we have a 5-minute overrun. 9:45 to 10 p.m., continuation of the women's match. Renee backstage with Tony Storm, and the start of the Kenny Omega interview. 575,000 viewers. 5-minute overrun, including the Don Callis family and Will Ospreay, 606,000 viewers. The key demo, 267, 218, bottoms out at 199, 202, 238, 229, 236, 250. So it actually rose throughout the second hour.
So, besides the fact that MJF and Jeff Jarrett was involved in the middle of the show, they stuck around to see what Kenny was going to have to say for himself, didn't they? Because they always lose in incredible numbers, especially when there's a girls' match that late. But this time, for the people who like that kind of thing, there's 575,000 or 594,000 or 606,000. They want to see what Kenny's going to do.
And again, a little bit of a bump in the key demo. It's interesting. The key demo, 18 to 49. The Kenny overrun, for instance, 250,000 viewers. 18 to 34, 73,000.
So it's still 34 to 49. It's carrying the
professional wrestling.
The ball
carrying the business. That's right.